You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftatacademy.com. www.netsoftatacademy.com.
Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to understand how Azure organizes and manages all your cloud resources, or Cloud Resource Management. Whether you have one application or hundreds of applications, Azure's architecture helps keep everything neat, secure, and well laid out. And also, it helps you to manage them easily. So let's get started. Let's talk about Azure Resource Hierarchy first. The Azure resources are organized in a hierarchical structure, which helps with management, access control, and also billing. Now, the hierarchy flows like this. At the top, we have our management groups, which lets you organize multiple Azure subscriptions. Remember, when you create your first account in Azure, you will always have a root management group in which all the subscriptions will be maintained. But in future, if you want to create more management group, let's say for different departments or different sub-services you offer from your company, right? Then you can create more management group, which will control separate subscriptions. Well, after the management group comes subscriptions. Now, subscriptions are containers for your resources, and they also determine the billing boundary. So subscriptions do two things. They manage the access to your resources. All the resources are tied with at least one subscription, and they also calculate the cost of usage. So they determine the billing boundaries. Now, inside the subscription, you have resource groups. Resource groups are logical containers that group related resource like virtual machine, database, network, and any other resource together. Now, finally, inside your resource groups, you will have the actual resource, like the virtual machine, storage account, application service, network, public IP, database, and so much more. So a quick recap. Management group, subscriptions, resource group, resources. So if you apply any privilege on management group, yes, without any exclusion, that privilege will inherit to all these layers. Now, how does Azure keep track of all these resources then? Well, that's where ARM comes in. ARM, which stands for Azure Resource Manager. Well, ARM is the deployment and management service that provides a consistent way to create, update, and delete resources in Azure ecosystem or in Azure account. It ensures that you can manage resources as a group, apply access control on them, and track cost easily. So that is your ARM. Now let's focus on resource groups, which are the key to organize your Azure environment. Well, we already know that a resource group is a logical container for resources that share the same life cycle. Think of it as a project folder. You can delete or manage everything inside a resource group together if you want. Well, yes, it is possible to create a resource group and then put the services of two or multiple projects inside it. But well, that is not recommended. You should use a resource group as an individual logical container to house all the resources sharing the common life cycle. In simple words, resource group hold all the resources for a common project. If you have multiple projects, well, then create multiple resource groups. Now, here are some best practices. Resource groups should be created, let's say, for a specific application or workload. And you should keep related resources in the same resource group for easier management, like we discussed. Plus, avoid putting unrelated resources together. One more tip. Make sure that your resource group have a perfect name and a perfect region, because you cannot change the name once a resource group is created and your resources are deployed on it. Yes, it is possible to move your resources from one resource group to other, but it is not that straightforward. It requires a lot of patience and housekeeping and sometimes downtime. So whenever you create a resource group, which is the starting point, think about the future architecture as well. Now, when you deploy resources, you have two main options here. Well, you can manually deploy the resources through the use of Azure Portal, or you can also use CLI, which is great for simple or once-in-a-time setup. But if you are deploying resources multiple times and you repeat this process again and again, then you should go with infrastructure as code. Now, this will help you to automate your environment and automate the deployment at least. You will do this using ARM templates or tools like Terraform or Ansible. Well, these tools let you define your environment as code, making it easier to, again, automate, but also you can version control your environment and repeat deployment reliably without any human error. So it's two deployment types, manual as well as automated. Well, when the resources are now deployed, whether manually or automatically, now you can manage those resources using several tools. The first one is Azure Portal, which is the easiest one. This is the web-based graphical interface through which you create templates, you manage tools, and you push your template to ARM, and ARM will deploy your resources. So it gives you a graphical dashboard. The other tool you can use is PowerShell for scripting and automation. You can also opt for Azure CLI, that is a cross-platform command line tool. And if you don't want to use PowerShell or, let's say, CLI environment on your laptop, Azure also provides Cloud Shell, which is an integrated shell environment, but directly on Azure Portal. So yes, you just log into a graphical interface, that is Azure Portal, and on top there will be a button. If you click that, Azure will create and give you a CLI environment, that is the Cloud Shell. All right, now let's go to our Azure Portal to explore the topics we discussed. Now, finally, a quick tip on tags. Well, tags is also a very simple service offered by Azure, but it can be used in almost every use case or for every project. So what are tags? Well, tags are just the metadata label you can assign to a resource and groups. Tags are useful for tracking cost, managing environments like development environment, test environment, or production environment. And tags can also be used to organize your resource or filter your resources by department or project. Now, for example, you can add tags like environment equal to production, or environment equal to development, or department equal to marketing, or department equal to IT. Now, with these tags, you can quickly find all the related resource for that specific department. It's just like adding a name tag to your luggage when you go to airport. So those are tags. All right, so let me show you how to create some resources which are connected, and also we will connect with our virtual machine. So it all starts from, again, your Azure account and having an active subscription. Then the first thing you will create is a resource group. We'll search for resource groups and create one. We already have a resource group called demo in Canvas Central. Then what next you need? What next service you need for virtual machine? Well, you need networking. So let's create a network. So go to virtual network and click on create. Select your subscription, select your resource group, and give your network a name. I'll call it demo VNet in Canada Central. No need to go with advanced security at this point, but this is important. So Azure already gives us a class A IP address, but I can always change it. Let me at least change the name. By default, it is called default. So let me change it to demo subnet. Save. Now let's review it and create. And look how easy it is to create networks in Azure. And it's done. My network is ready. All right. So what else we need? Let's create a virtual machine now. Yes, you can actually create a disk separately, public IP separately, and then connect it all together with virtual machine. That's the beauty of Azure cloud infrastructure, that everything can be done separately and then connected. Imagine that you are playing with a Lego set. In the Lego set, you click and connect multiple Lego pieces to create something useful out of it. But remember, if you try to connect incorrect pieces with each other, then you might see that they are not incompatible. They are not compatible at all. So over here as well, just like Lego set, you have to connect multiple services which are compatible with each other. So let's go to virtual machine and create one this time. So click on virtual machine and select your resource group and give your machine a name. I'll call it demo VM. Select a region. I will say Canada Central. High availability not required at this point, but these are the option if you want high fault tolerance or high availability of your machine. Security can be standard. The image, the operating system I will select will be Windows 10. This is where you select your configuration, the size, or you may say the performance of your machine. In my case, I'm happy with 2 cores and 8 GB RAM, more than enough for this demo. Here you enter your local admin username and password for this machine which you are going to create. This username and password have nothing to do with Entra ID. It exists in the machine, it's local. All right. Now, do you want to connect with this machine? Well, I will open RDP. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. This is where you can remotely connect with this computer. Why? Because when you create a machine or a virtual machine, it is created in a data center. As a customer, you cannot have physical access to this data center or the machine. So you need to connect remotely. And for that, you may have to open this port. I will accept the license terms, click disk. Now, here you can see that Azure is creating a disk for you. But if you already have an existing disk, you can also use that with a new VM. Or you want more data disk, again, you can add it. If you can pay attention, it says create and attach a disk or attach an existing disk. So some services can be created beforehand. But in my case, a normal operating system disk is good enough with premium SSD. If you want to save some cost, you can go with hard drive as well. But SSDs are fast. Networking. As you can see, Azure is creating a new network. You can absolutely do that. But did we already created this building block, that is network? Yes. So I will select the network I created and the subnet I created. Remember, if you create your network in, let's say, Australia and your machine is in Canada, yeah, then they cannot connect. All the dependent resources which needs to connect with each other directly must stay in the same region at least. Public IP, which also can be created separately, but here I will let Azure create a new public IP for me. Again, network security group is for security purpose. It allows or block traffic to flow through a specific port. This is an advanced topic, and if you want to learn more about all these small services, again, go to NetSoft IT Academy and select a more in-depth course there. I'm not adding this machine to any pool. I'm not using load balancer. I'm not using application gateway. So I will go to management. No need to change anything here. Again, advanced topics. I don't want to monitor. I just want to create a simple machine. Because this is just a demo purpose, even if my machine is not healthy in the future, it doesn't matter because I will delete this machine after the demo. So this is why I don't want monitoring. No need for advanced settings. No need to add tags right now. But if you want, you can. Let's say if you want to relate this service to someone, all you need to do is, let's say, demo of Azure. You can add tags. Review your configuration. If there are any like syntax error or logistical error, you will get error over here and you can fix it. Validation passed, everything looks good. So I just clicked on create. Now I will wait for this service to deploy. Remember, some services will take maybe seconds to deploy, but some services may take multiple minutes or even hours to deploy. All right, let's go back and see our deployment just finished. And let's try to connect with this machine quickly. So I will go to the machine, copy the public IP, and on your laptop, if you just say start RDP, if you are not using Windows Home, because you will not have this feature. If you're using Windows Enterprise, Professional, yeah, you will have remote desktop connection client there. I will paste this public IP and click on connect. And here you go. Enter your credentials. And we are connected. This is my machine running in a data center somewhere in central Canada. Now, let's go back to resource group. If you go back to resource group, you will see that all the related resources are inside this demo resource group. You can also click on resource visualizer. Here, everything is connected. And that's the beauty of resource group. It just keeps everything organized. So if I go to resource group, and let's say I apply any privilege over this resource group and I give it to a user, well, that user will get privilege on all the resources inside this resource group. It will get inherited. Then if I delete this resource group, all the resources will be deleted. In case some resources are locked, yes, then it will prevent you to delete your resource group entirely. But in most situations, it will delete everything. And then you have your settings for deployment for the resource group. You can analyze how much you are paying for your service. If you click on cost analysis, you can get an estimate. For example, in the last 7 days. Yeah, in the last 7 days, in all my demo virtual machine, I paid only $1.75, storage $1.18. The most I did is for virtual machine. Rest is like minuscule. And this is how you can get an estimate of what you're paying. You can analyze your environment. And let's say your budget is only $50. Well, you can set the budget as well for this resource group entirely. So I can now delete the entire infrastructure. I will keep my machine here, as you can see, except, all right. And if I delete my resource group, just copy paste the name, delete, confirm it multiple times, and done. Now, eventually, when it will delete all resources one by one, this machine will also be gone. All right, so as you can see, I got the error, lost connection. Of course, that machine is deleted. It's gone. Yeah,
machines are gone, eventually your public IP will be removed, then NSG will be removed, network card will be removed, and virtual network will be removed, and eventually the resource group will be deleted. So that's how you create a resource group and put resources inside it. Or you can say associate the resources with a resource group.
And that's your introduction to Azure Resource Architecture and Management. Well, understanding this hierarchy will help you to organize and maintain your cloud environment effectively and efficiently, and also keep control as you scale up. Next, we will explore how you can use or get started with Azure environment from both sides using Azure Portal or CLI environment. So if you found this video helpful, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftatacademy.com. www.netsoftatacademy.com.